My name is Ralph George. I'm the founder of SmileFy, and today we're gonna create a mockup and we're gonna discuss the workflow with SmileFy 3.0. So let's close the open case here. First, we are gonna start with the patient documentation, and we use for our case a picture, the maxilla scan and the mandibular scan. First, we need to calibrating the files we create the digital patient. The digital patient is digital records plus calibration. So we set 3 points on the intraoral scan and the same points on the picture, like this. And we click set points. That was not very good. So let me see what points are shifted in my... Oh, of course, the orange one was on the wrong central. Now here we go. Looks much better. We zoom in using the transformation tools. For example, we can see if our model is calibrated properly. If not, what we can do is using the transformation tool, the rotation and everything what we have as tools to make sure that the calibration is as accurate and as perfect as possible, considering of course the picture distortion, right? Every single picture has a distortion, so if you do have a very expensive lens, then the distortion is gonna be very small or no distortion at all. If you do have a normal camera, then we're gonna have some distortion, but the calibration of our intraoral scan and the picture needs to be as precise and as good as possible, like this. I think that's fine. So we check our calibration, that's fine, and we go next and we save the calibration demo mockup. That's good. We save the calibration. Now in our case management, we get 3 projects. The first project is the patient files, patient records. Then we have a calibration project and we have the digital patient, which means we have the picture calibrated with the intraoral scans. Now we're gonna go and design 3D case. We select upper and lower design. We're gonna create a mockup for the upper and lower design. In the first screen, we have to adjust the position like the virtual occlusal plane. We rotate the upper model and we create the position where we calculate the 3D smile frame and where the teeth are going to be generated. Now, in this case, the pivot, the rotation point of the model is shifted. That's why our occlusal curve is shifted. We already have a solution to set the point in a default position in the middle of the object so that you don't need to shift the occlusal curve as much as I did. I think the occlusal curve is okay. So considering that we need a motivational mockup, right, we're gonna set the curve a little bit more additive, but I think that's fine. We go to the next screen, and in the next screen we set the 3D smile frame. We reduce this height, we reduce the position, we go more incisal, yeah, then the height. Let's see where exactly the height is. Okay, more. You can here also change the zoom. That's fine, I think, or even more. No, we're gonna move the whole smile frame more coronal. So let's see if the incisal edge is good. And we're gonna set the occlusal angulation so that our smile frame follows the new smile curve, or we create a new smile curve based on the 3D smile frame. I think that's fine so far. Let's see how everything looks like in the face. I think that's good so far. And we go to the adjustment screen. We select the social smile and we generate now the smile. So the width of our teeth is almost good. We're gonna adjust a little bit the width of the centrals and the canines. Let's unlink actually the right and left side so that I can now adjust every side separately, and I'm gonna generate the smile for now. Hopefully I set the occlusal curve as accurate as possible so that the result of our automatic design is as good as possible, right? Now we go to the next screen, and in the next screen we do have a lot of new options, and we're gonna discuss the options and the workflow for the mockup. So first of all, we go to the 4 views, and in the 4 views, we're gonna set the size of every single view properly so that we can design as good as possible. And we're gonna lock the view so that we don't move this position and the view by mistake. Okay, this one is the free view, that's fine, we can let it the way it is. Good, so now we do have here the view, upper, lower, centric occlusion, and in case we do have a facial scan or a CBCT, that's gonna be the option that displays all the files that we have. We can use now the keyboard. If you design on Mac, that's very important. We can use the keyboard. F is showing smile frame, hiding smile frame. L is putting the smile in the mouth, lip, right? L from lip. And we do have more shortcuts. You select the tooth with the arrows. You can move now the tooth up and down, to the left, to the right. You can use age for increasing the height, shift H for decreasing the height, W for increasing the width, shift W to decreasing the width, and also you can use D as increasing the depth or decreasing the depth. Okay, so that's the way you can change everything in the smile. Good, let's transfer all the stuff to the other side, all the whole design. So we have now the same size, we have the same position. We just need, because the patient is not symmetric, so we need to adjust now the position of the teeth, but that's fine. So here we go. I think that's good enough, that's fine. And that was the first section, right? That was the first section using the tools, position, rotation, and size. Now we do have more options because we want to create our mockup as in harmony as possible with the face. And for that reason, we do have some tools to analyze the smile. First of all, we have the 3D layers. That's the second step of our workflow. In the 3D layers, I can turn on the light. You see, we have now light reflections. I can display the position of the light and the brightness of my smile so that it looks here in the picture, it looks more in detail with the face and with the light reflections. And also what I can do is I can use 3D colors, and I can select, for example, a structure. You see, we do have now the transparency, we see the dentin, we see all the details from a natural tooth, and that's how we can display our 3D smile design in the face of the patient much more in detail, much more naturally, because if you print now this mock-up and you put the mock-up in the mouth of the patient is gonna look exactly like this, right? Because that's the 3D smile design. But before we go and print, let's see if we can improve our smile. If you want to continue with the design, of course, we're gonna turn the lights off because we want actually a good and real-time movements of our design. The rendering is, of course, very, very powerful, but it requires a lot of memory. So we're in the design process, we're gonna turn the colors off, so that we can design in real time. So that's the position of my canine. It's not bad actually, that's fine. It's a little bit bulky, it's a little bit buckly, so we're gonna readjust the angulation of the canine, and here we go. That's much, much better. The lateral, the same. Like this. The centrals and the canine, this one is okay. I just readjust the rotation here. That's good. Okay. So now I do have my design. I think the design is okay. Let's analyze our mockup, and we do have the smile analysis feature. In the smile analysis feature, I do have several options. So the first step is to set the position of the design in the frontal position. I check with the reference lines if my model is really frontal, like this. It's not, but also it is important to see and to check if our teeth are in the right position and right size. So I'm gonna lock the model here. I'm gonna lock it, and let's adjust the height of my canine. Here we go. And the position of the lateral. Here we go. Now our smile looks much, much better. It's a small detail, but it's important. So we have the red proportion in the face of the patient. I can display now the design inside on the picture, right? Here we go. We followed as much as possible the red proportion. That's fine. Now let's analyze the smile and everything else regarding the proportions. But before that, I think I'm gonna increase a little bit the height of the laterals, because I think it looks much better if the laterals are a little bit so actually the smile is not that dominant as we designed it in the first step, like this. I think that looks better. Okay, so now let's analyze the smile. The smile analysis helps you analyzing the zenith of the canine lateral central, and it shows you, let's see, it shows you the differences between the right and left side, the angulations of the teeth, and everything what needs to be corrected. Now we do get some idea that eventually we need to correct the gingiva on the left side of the patient, right? So we have 16.5 millimeters, the distance between the zenith of the canine and the central, 17 millimeters. Then we have the angulations between the zenith of the central canine and lateral. And we have the triangles, which shows us also the angles between the zenith of these three teeth, right? Anteriors. 162.4, 162 degrees difference means that eventually the height of our teeth is not exactly the same. So with the reference lines, I can check everything and correct the angulations. Number one. Number two, these are the angulations of the teeth, right? So between the zenith of the gingiva and the midpoint of the incisal edge, we create a line and we create an angulation. It shows us where is actually the issue with the angulation of the teeth, because we can compare with the ideal angulations, and the ideal angulations shows you actually the angulation of the highest point of the template and the middle point of the incisal edge. That's important because you see, if I go to the centrals now and I correct the angulation of the centrals 0.3, I make sure that the two centrals are perfectly aligned and they have the same angulation to the front. The highest point of the zenith from the left and right central is shifted. That's what this analysis shows me, right? So I need eventually a gingival correction to make both centrals as accurate and as in harmony as possible. Also, we can see that this lateral is a little bit different than this one. We do have between the highest point of the, let me reduce a little bit the opacity so that we can see better the highest point of the template. So we do have the highest point of the template, right? The laterals, and I see that this one is a little bit shifted. So I'm gonna correct here the angulation. It's 0.1, and here we go. We do have now a better alignment of the laterals, and also the canines are shifted. So I'm gonna correct a little bit the angulations here and bring both canine to 2 degrees to the front. Now, this analysis helps me with the teeth angulations. Everything looks now more in harmony because the teeth angulations are the same on both sides. With the reference lines, I see that the position and the length of my teeth is the same. Now, this smile in the face of the patient is going to be more in harmony, more symmetric, and the teeth, because we use natural templates, natural restorations, right? These templates, these teeth were scanned from patients with beautiful natural smiles. So in order to make sure that the morphology of the laterals, for example, have the same angulations, and we see all these details in the surface have the same angulation, right? It creates a symmetry and a more harmonic design, making sure that the angulations are the same. Good. So far with the smile analysis, that's good. I think now we can check our smile in the face of the patient using also the light reflections and the colors. So 3D layers, I'm gonna decrease actually the opacity. That's fine. And here we go. That's our mock-up. That's our mock-up. We do have, you see, a lot of beautiful details in the rendering, in the 3D rendering. We can increase a little bit the brightness, and here we go. So we have color 3, we have texture 3 for the rendering. We do have color 1 Color 1 has more transparency, you see the dentin, you see more details in the teeth, and we have color 2. Color 2 is also a little bit more bright. We see the dentin, we see the transparency, and you can select a Vita color like B2 for example and change the intensity and adjust and balance out actually the color of the patient teeth with your 3D design, right? With the 3D design. And I think this rendering is really, really special, and it helps us seeing better how the 3D smile looks like when it looks more natural. So let me show you the full picture like this. Good. So now what's the next step? I'm gonna turn the lights off because we need memory for our smile design. Let's go to the mesh editor. The mesh editor, no, let's go back to the tools and let's go back to the lower design. That's something that I forgot. Okay, so now we do have also the lower design, and here there is a small detail that is very important because the picture, the position of the jaw in the picture is different than the centric occlusion, right? For that reason we do have lower jaw to picture. You see, we can move actually the lower jaw. Let me show you here. Okay, so we can move the lower jaw to make sure that we match exactly the patient's position. And here we go. Now we do we display both jaws. We turn on the light and the colors, and here we go. We do have the display of our 3D design. Now let's create the mockup. Creating the mockup, I need to go to the mesh editor first, and I need to adjust first the upper design. Done. So now we import in the mesh editor the upper jaw, upper scan with the design. It's very important to make sure now that the gingival margins are accurately designed, but also we need to delete everything in the palatal area, right? We need to delete here everything so that the mockup is clean and the patient has a good experience. So I'm gonna delete here everything. Delete. That's fine. So with the deform tool, we're gonna adjust a little bit the interproximal spaces like this, and on this side also interproximal space is more accurate. Here also. No, I think that's fine. We apply the changes to the design, and we have now the upper jaw prepared for the mockup. Good. So here we go. We go to Advanced and CAD Features. Now we do have here presets, and it's very, very complex to create a mockup now using all the Boolean operations and everything what needs to be done. For that reason, to make it simpler for everybody, what we have done, we have created presets that help you actually creating the mockups and the model in a very, very easy way. We have the mockup. I click on the mockup preset, and now the app calculates automatically for me the upper jaw, the mockup, and does for the application calculates and does for me all the operations in the background, and I'm gonna get one model, one file containing everything that I need. So let me reduce here all the layers, and what do I have? I have one file, and that's the mockup. You see, it's one file, that's the mockup. I can change the color of the mockup, you know, to see to make the difference, right, between the intraoral scan, and I have the mockup. I have the upper design. You see the upper design is perfectly matching with the mockup. And here we go. That's the model that I'm gonna export, and that's the model I'm gonna use for creating the mockup. I can use, of course, the union feature here, for example, to select all the lowers now. That's another way to create the mockup, and to unify or union the lower jaw with the lower design, right? That's another way to do it. That's more manually. You can select the teeth that you want to union with the lower jaw, and you can create also the mockup for the lower jaw. Here we go. We have now, let's see, we have, that's one object, that's the second one, that's the lower, right? One model union with the design and the upper. That's the mockup. You can export both files, and you can create the classical mockup with Bisacryl for your patient. We can save the case now, and you see the calibration and everything what we have created is perfectly superimposed with the original files. If you see the display of the layers like this, it means that the calibration is just perfect. We save the case. We do have in the digital patient all the layers and all the versions that we have. So I go to the digital patient, I open the digital patient, and here we go. Here is my design with all layers that I have generated. Upper scan, lower scan, design. Let me reduce the opacity of all layers so that we can go one by one. Maxilla, original, right? Upper, lower. Good. Then we have the design. Good. Then we have the lower design, right, with the maxilla. Then we have the mockup, one file, and the lower mockup, the second file, like this. Export. Now we export all files, and you can now have everything, the upper, lower jaw, the design teeth, the mockup files, everything accessible in one folder. You can print them, you can send them to mill, you can continue the project. But also, if you want the direct connection to the printer, you can click on 3D print. You can select your printer like Asiga, FlashForge, Accureta, Nextend, Desktop Health, Formlabs. So you see, we do have all printers connected to SmileFy, you can click on Asiga, for example, and now you can send the model directly to the printer in the printer software, and you can start printing. That makes everything much easier, and it's very convenient because you don't need to export and to do all the files. We do have two apps. If your printer is connected to a Mac app, then you just click on the Mac app. If you have the printer connected to the Windows app, then we do have the Windows app called SmileFy 3D Print. You install the SmileFy 3D Print app on your Windows machine. You send the complete case to the SmileFy Windows app, and from there you can print directly, exactly the same way you print from the Mac. So we click on Mac. Now we do have the folders with all our files, right? So we have created digital models. I can click on digital models, and I'm going to send the mockup and the lower design, for example, to the printer. I can go and see, you know, I have the lower jaw design, the upper jaw design, only the teeth, you see, only the teeth, and I have also the original scans. So you can send to the printer whatever you want, and you can create your models and really check with physical models your design and everything what you want to check. So that was our tutorial how to create a mockup with SmileFy 3.0. The next tutorial, we're gonna create mockup shells. We're gonna change the design and create different versions of the mockup in minutes. And here we go. That's the real-time design, real-time SmileFy design around the world. All these countries that you see, people right now, in that second, they design smiles. India, Laos, Malaysia, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, Poland, Europe, Germany, Norway, United Kingdom, and Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, everywhere right now, people are using the app and creating smiles. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial how to create a mockup with smile analysis and creating models. And I'm looking forward to presenting to you the next workflows with SmileFy 3.0. Thank you very much.